don't let Optic get away with shenanigans. And Optic, they're going to try and get away with shenanigans, Dave.
I could see the match playing out that way. Like you said, it is going to be around controlling that pace. Even Ola said that during his interview, saying that we've been learning when to control the pace and attack and when we've been trying to slow it down.
Yeah.
And, you know, at some points when you start to get a roll, it's hard to really put the brakes on.
Yeah, of course. And I think that if Optic Gaming, you know, get that momentum going, get that roll, like at this point, there's just nothing that they're going to be able to do. There's nothing that Complexity is going to be able to do here, right? Like Cole's really trying to find themselves as a squad. They're coming into this with some fresh faces and some veterans as well. Obviously, Hysteria being a big one there, and Rob the Turtle as well. But Hysteria has such a prolific history, and you were playing against him all the way back in the day, you know. And I think that there is a lot of good that can come out of this Cole roster. But against Optic Gaming, like they simply just don't stack up right now. That being said, there is an opportunity for Complexity. It's not all doom and gloom, and it comes in a form of that, you know, Game 2 Slayer. But hey, they could also have a hot start here on Streets, man. This is a map that could snowball very quickly if Optic isn't careful.
Yeah. Streets, I definitely have been feeling and seeing these teams really snowball those leads or get like those back and forth trip caps and such. So yeah, we'll have to see how it does go on Streets here for Complexity. I believe we're going to quick remake that game so we can talk through the beginning of this just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still just a heavy feat in front of them because, as you said before, these teams really are kind of in tiers. You have a tier, you know, the very top tier, which would probably be like, you know, Cloud9, Sentinels, Optic, and
FaZe.
And United. And United FaZe, I would say.
I don't know. I'm looking over at the Bravo stream right now.
You can't not have them in the top tier. They took second last to that.
I know.
But regardless, what basically happens with these tiers, and we've seen historically throughout Halo, is you have these different tiers where teams are placed at, and generally people at like the top of, like, let's say tier 2 or tier 3 can take the teams from the bottom of the tier above them, or they can drop games to the, you know, a tier below them, just, you know, from people to the top there. But for the most part, if you're more than like a tier away, it really just doesn't happen. There's such rare upsets that happen there because there has to be so many factors going in place. The top tier team has to be playing a little off. The bottom tier team has to be just on fire. And and just their consistency, because it's just, you know, the beautiful thing about Halo is that it's not just one montage-like play that turns the tide of a game. Yes, that has an impact on it, but it's just the accuracy over the course of the game, the decisions that are made over the course of the game, that just all adds up when you're making the correct decisions, and it all chips away at your team when you're making the incorrect decisions.
Yeah, and for that, you know, there is a lot to talk about with Optic and their decision-making and how they play for each other. And one of those players that I'm going to be keeping an eye on this series, we heard from him in that package, Pistola, right? The veteran. This guy has a knack to stay alive. We always harp on it. He's a wizard for a reason. But look, man, I mean, the reality is that, you know, for this Optic Gaming team, this is an organization that wants championships, that wants W's, they want wins. And this is the event where I think Optic really have to start putting it together. And I like hearing that they have been in the lab prepping and working so hard getting ready for this event, living and breathing Halo.
I was just going to say, not even just in the lab, living in the lab, according to Ola. He's like, I have not been leaving the house much. I've been kind of gaming, and I'm really ready for this. So bring it.
Yeah, right. But now here we are. The action begins on Street Strongholds, and you know, out of the gate, not the worst start here for Cole. In fact, actually a pretty decent start for Cole. They were able to get power weapons, right? They also have presence up top. Like, they simply just need to put together. Oh, I stand corrected. They were not able to get the rockets, but even then, there wasn't really much that they could build off of that. This is where now Complexity have to just force the issue on B, or, you know, maybe even go for the overextend. Like, you know, it's just going to be so hard, especially with Trippy with the Stalker rifle on balcony like this.
Yeah, and I like this play. It's interesting how Trippy just decides to stay there, but it's a pretty powerful position staying on that C balcony.
Already a killing spree.
Especially when you have that Stalker rifle, because getting one little shot weaved in there across the street makes such a big difference for your teammates, because they're not, now can go around the corner and two-shot BR somebody, or just get the melee / shot on somebody, get the kill.
That was a beautiful play there by Trippy. He was challenged from behind. Players were trying to force him off of C. But yeah, you know, Dave, you called it, right? It was like an odd play, but not really, when you think about it, considering his positioning, what he had, and he didn't even need the assistance. He just needed the big red to give him what he needed.
We've seen this position be so strong, and it's not just in Trippy's hands either. I mean, when we were all commenting on Formal's massive Game 5, where he got, whatever, 25-ish kills here on Street Slayer, a lot of that was him parked over at the C balcony, doing damage with the stalk rifle, picking off players that were coming out in the middle. You know, obviously he went to other spots on the map during that game, but a big part of it was this anchor position. Yeah,
that is such a strong area to hold. Now, Hysteria does manage to get the rockets, as well as capping on A. They have C control, but you know, it's a little flimsy, but this is exactly what I wanted to see Complexity do here, right? Like, play them hard, play your game. Don't lay out their Optic Gaming. Yes, you got a lot of great players on this team, but Hysteria knows what it's like to be in combat with these players. So he's like, don't give them the time to breathe. Go at them. Don't let them think that this is going to be a free win, because the moment that happens, yeah, it's a wrap. And now they got a trip cap on Optic.
Yep, I was just going to say, it's kind of gone that back and forth thing that I was saying before, Alex, that this game can get snowbally, even though Optic looked like they were just running away with the game with a 102-0 lead. That lead is now halved.
Huge from Complexity, as they've been able to hold A and B. They have that trip cap. They're within striking distance of catching up to Optic Gaming here. And something that I'm not very used to seeing this late into the game is APG sitting at 0 kills, but he does have 7 assists. So he's still contributing a lot to kills, but you definitely would like to see that donut become a breadstick if you're APG.
Actually, you know, I'm a big fan. If a player out here comes into an HCS event and their team wins the game with them having 0 kills, I think that is such a massive statement, showing their team, like, not even a joke.
Well, that almost happened in the SSG game. Unfortunately, not to dog on Ace, but he didn't have the best series, and yet they were able to squeak away with that. I believe it was the Game 3 win on that CTF. So
that Bazaar flag, right?
It's certainly an interesting narrative to have here. But right now, Complexity have the lead over Optic Gaming, and if you came into this match looking at these two teams, you're like, oh, Cole versus Optic, yeah, Optic should definitely win this game. And now we all kind of have pie on our face here, Dave.
Dude, what a nice step, though, from Complexity. What I've seen a lot of teams do when they have control of A and B is, yes, they put some pressure on towards C and making them work together, but not as much pressure as I saw from Complexity. They had Hysteria all the way over on Purple Street. They had Rob the Turtle out front in the pillars in front of C. And then they had their players over on B Street attacking that driveway. They just had such a restricted, limited access to get outside of C. And I really like that. They're just really doubling down, saying, all right, if we're going to try to lock them in here, let's truly lock them in here, and let's put so much pressure, make them guess every which way they're trying to turn when they're leaving C.
But was that the last swing that goes in Complexity's favor here? They're capping B currently. Trippy's trying to go there for the stop. They do secure it successfully, but how does this fight go here for Trippy? As he's going to back away. Help from APG comes, and there you go. The 1 kill for APG. He's got himself 11 assists, so I ain't trying to take anything away from my boy Brad. He's contributing at the very least quite a bit here. And now this is where maybe Optic Gaming starts to cook, but Lucid waiting, biding his time. He's got 2 targets in front of him. Easy pickings there, and a killing spree, double kill to boot for Lucid.
Such a good position. We saw, Penguin utilize that so well when we saw him in the finals over at Raleigh, and I love seeing Lucid do that. The thing that was most impressive there from Lucid, though, is just the patience and timing, making sure he's doing that right balance of not fully baiting a teammate and let them die for no reason, but also letting the opponents get a little comfortable, letting them overextend and push out from the B driveway.
There's that Stalker Rifle, another double kill perfect for Vetra, the new add to this team, a young player. Made his name in Halo 5 and he really started to find his footing in FFA. We'll see what he can do here, right? Sometimes you can always find that diamond in the rough, and Vetra can certainly be that player here. But now a trip cap was a quick trip cap, but it's not really going to be all that much because you're going to get the flip immediately for A and B. But the Bulldog needs to come out clutch here. It definitely does with Rob the Turtle holding it. And now Optic Gaming have to figure out how to break this yet again, but I think the Rockets should help him out here.
Yeah, Rockets are good in this position.
Oh, no!
Unfortunately, just getting caught off guard, and that's just so dangerous. At this high level of play, Rockets are near guaranteed kills, but not quite so, especially in those chaotic times where you can't just, know that your back is safe. Someone could be coming down the center. So, yeah, just really difficult position there for Ola.
B has been gained by Optic. They know where the spawns are. They got him pinned inside of A, but you got to watch out for the players on the split here by C. Huge fight coming up for Triton, and Trippy was getting shot from behind. That's going to be, was that 2 players down, I believe? So they got to really profit off of this complexity, and they do just that. Spawns, though, are actually going to be in the favor of Optic over here by sub. So they're going to cap this one, but they'll be happy about that because they managed to secure A and B, and now Optic are back in a very familiar position, but they've been able to hold on to their lead enough, Dave, that if you're an Optic fan, you're not quite sweating yet.
Also, I just want to show something with this lane. Right now, Complexity has 35 kills total. Optic Gaming, Lucid and Trippy combined for 31 kills out of those 2. And that's just it seems to be kind of a normal stat line that we've been seeing with this Optic roster and the way they operate, that APG and Ola just enable and allow players like Trippy and Lucid to go off. They're there, those are supporting roles. You were talking about before with APG having, 7 assists and no kills. That's because he's laying down shots, being an anchor, being such a great teammate, and then Lucid and Trippy have that freedom and ability to roam around the map and just do what they do best.
Yeah, I was more celebrating the fact. I was glad that APG got the kill, but hey, I agree with you, man. Like, you have someone that can slay when he needs to in APG, but also can lay down that covering fire and support as necessary, really activate the rest of the squad. Complexity, though, looking to turn this into a victory potentially. It's a very close matchup between these 2 teams, and I did not expect to say that at the start of this series, but I also know that Strongholds Streets has that tendency to be a little swingy, a little chaotic from time to time, so perhaps this is where it's very much working out in Complexity's favor.
And this is just, I don't think any of us casters or on the analyst desk expected it to come out this way. We know Complexity is a strong roster. Do we think they're strong enough to take all these games off of Optic? I did not go into this match expecting that. Yeah,
it's still only game 1 though, and clean shots from Pistola is going to look to potentially, go ahead and cap A, or cap C, excuse me. A is being capped by Hysteria presently, which that flip should come in. Now
I love that spot from Ola. Like there's so many times where it's kind of, when you're in C, you really can just hide from any sort of fights over from top A. But right there, I didn't realize you could just be hopping off that little planter and actually engage into somebody who's trying to hide from you in A.
Pistola inside of Red Room secures himself a double kill, holding B down still. Only 20 more points for Optic Gaming to walk away with the Game 1 win. Complexity want this dub so bad, but when Pistola's have a killing spree, I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult to do so. Now the push comes in. What can Pistola do here? As Vetra's going to be rounding out the rear. You also have Hysteria over at the corner. A still being held. They need to make a move right now. Only a few seconds. And a huge stick there for Pistola. But a melee is going to come through, but it ain't going to matter because Optic Gaming picks up the victory. But a strong showing from Cole. Complexity keeping that one a little close there, a little hairy for a moment. 250 to 214 for the green wall.
Close it out, but like you said, that's with them getting a 100-point head start.
Yes.
They earned it clearly. They got all those kills, they got control, but to have the game that close when you had that much of a lead, it just goes to show that both these teams, when they get control, they can be so scary.
Yeah, and I think that there maybe something can be said for the like APG kind of having that slowish start, right? Like, had he been fragging like at the start the way you would expect, maybe this game doesn't get as close. But at the same time, though, I don't want to take away from Complexity because they played really well.
Ultimately, what you have to also look at is the time where APG was having what you'd call like that slow start with the 0-1 kills. His team was up 90 or 100 to 0.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's like, yeah, at that point, it's like, no, don't overanalyze anything. It's like, what you're doing is working. The stats aren't always reflective of exactly what your impact is to the team.
Yeah, well, folks, it has been quite the day here in HCS Anaheim. Some great games across the board, especially that last one that we had between Fnatic and Space Station Gaming. Complexity, though, they want to make this one into a series. Can they do it in the Slayer? They got close here on Strongholds Streets, and perhaps Complexity is going to show us a different side, something that maybe they didn't quite find, and who knows, maybe after the G2 game, they went back, they talked about what they needed to clean up, what they needed to change up, and they're putting that into effect here. Just they're going up against, one of the top 3 teams in the game right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're putting up that sort of like score against what we consider one of the top 3 teams in the game, you can't be disappointed. You just have to play your game and move into the game too. Also, when we were talking about Complexity and their match earlier against G2, they lost one of the games. What was it? Was it a Street Slayer, like 50-49 or so? I just remember it being going down to like the last couple kills and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Complexity barely lost that game.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that was a situation where like, is G2 kind of doing the thing that has been plaguing them this whole time, right? Like the necessary, or the need, excuse me, to clutch up at those moments? Or was Complexity just playing some damn good Halo? And I would like to think that it is Complexity really finding themselves as a team. This is still a roster that is relatively fresh, going up against an Optic squad that have been established even before the game came out. So there's a lot of chemistry there with these 4 players, whereas Complexity still trying to figure it out. That said, Optic, you know, I mean, you got Lucid on your team. You know? Yeah. Like he's statistically like one of the best players to grace the game right now. But yeah, man, this has been a quite the showing for Cole. And hopefully this game too will lead to more prosperous results for them. But for Optic, I think they really just want to sweep this one under the rug and just get to the next one as fast as they possibly can, because they have some big games coming up here in HCS Anaheim.
Yes, they do. They want to make a statement. They want to get out of this pool as #1. They want to, it's weird to say, like, redeem yourself from Raleigh, even though they had such a strong placing. They are just still such a strong roster. So we're going to have to see how Optic turns out after the series. But first, they got to get through Complexity. We thought that this would be a cakewalk. Lottie made it seem like this was going to be a really
Lottie.
easy... Yeah,
I blame Lottie.
Exactly. Maybe we should start ganging up on her. But, like, she, yeah, like, and the whole analyst desk were saying that that Optic were just going to walk away with this. But based on this series thus far, I mean, I'm expecting another close game. Complexity showed that they could be down 100 points in a Stronghold game. Bring it back. They've showed that they can get the Slays to match the firepower here with Optic. So let's see how they do it in a Slayer here on Aquarius, and Lucid getting a pick right off the start onto Hysteria. Just, they have their starts down, looks like, for Optic.
Oof, yeah. Now, another thing to note as well, we were talking about this in the G2 Complexity game when Complexity had that advantage and they needed to pull away with the win. It was almost as if there was a moment where Cole were kind of doubting themselves, like, can we do this? Can we actually, you know, play to the advantages that we've created for ourselves? Optic are never going to give them that moment to breathe. And this game, Aquarius can it's a very hot and cold one, at least for me personally. This one could either be over very fast or it could drag on. I think for Optic Gaming here, they want to just go at Complexity and make them feel as uncomfortable as possible so that they can end this one in 6-7 minutes.
Makes sense, yeah. I mean, we've heard about it from Optic. You just want to get that pace of the game. Teams that control the pace of the game are probably controlling the game.
8-4 right now for Optic Gaming. They got themselves the Sizzle Sticks. Kind of mad I didn't get myself a shirt. You know,
yeah, who got one of those? Where
it was Jersey. It was all Jersey.
Yeah, was there like a shirt order list?
Jersey just hit up his friends, you know, and I thought I was Jersey's friend, but no, today I learned. Yeah, I'm not cool enough for the Sizzle Stick shirt. Very excited to have Jersey with us here, by the way. He's been a homie for such a long time, so it's great to have him here with us. But also great to see Optic continue on this lead, 14-7. And at this point, Optic, they are not holding back and not giving Complexity any room to operate.
No, they are not. And they just have control of so many different spots of this map. You know, you saw them at the very beginning of this game. They had Complexity all stuck inside the blue base. Now we're in a position again where they have them stuck over towards the utility side of the map. And then look at this collapse coming in from this back view we have from APG. Just all these players flying in towards util, Lucid and crew getting the kills, and then reverting back over towards top pink and top car so that they can get shots across the map and get the power-ups.
Just another clean camo pickup for Optic. And that has to sting for Complexity because there's just no opportunities for them to gain control in this map. And another power item, like I feel like if they were able to get their hands on that, they could probably take advantage of it. But even then, right, like Optic will know immediately that they have to shut that down. You're also in a really, really tough spot here because every spawn you have someone flying at you. And if you're like Rob the Turtle, for example, you're never able to get something going. Each spawn you come up, you're like, all right, this is a new beginning. And then you're getting shot up instantly.
And APG getting control of those. Oh, God. Is the new name Sizzle Sticks? Are we just
we
going
call
with
them
it?
Sizzle
We're calling
Sticks.
Sizzle. All right.
They're Sizzle Sticks. Anyone who says otherwise, or there was one guy on Twitter who told Jersey it was called the Fizzle Sticks, but I think that individual is woefully wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely incorrect. But just
Whoa, nice double from APG.
It's interesting, like how they're controlling everything. Like when it even comes to getting control of, like we said, the Sizzle Sticks. APG and the Optic crew are on top of that even, and it reflects in the score right now. Like, look at this dominating score, 27-11 off the bat here in Aquarius. I don't know how you come back from this against a squad like Optic.
Something I've never seen as well was APG dropping the battle rifle, which is like the strongest gun in the game, unless he ran out of ammo. But even then, even if he did run out of ammo, he was still putting that commando to work, and it just, they're so comfortable that they could do stuff like that, right? They don't have to worry too much about it. Now with 30-13, it's only getting worse here for Complexity. Every respawn they have, I mean, look at that. Trippy's literally fighting someone else, and another guy comes in, and then Trippy's like, oh, hello, melee to the face, and then I'll just keep focusing shooting this other, poor soul here. This is rough for Complexity.
Trippy trying to give him a chance by nading himself there for a moment, but it looks like it's not even enough. And look at just this movement here.
I was about to say, bro,
that's
if
one
he got
thing,
that,
one thing we take for granted here with these top teams and players is the movement and the accuracy.
Yeah.
Like, they just make it look so smooth. Whereas when I'm pulling up this game and playing it, like, I'm snagging on all these, like, little pieces of geometry. Like, there's, like it's almost like sticky floor like at the movies or something like that. Like, why am I walking a little bit slower? Why is my shoes stuck to the ground? But these players, they all just move so swiftly across the map and then just hit perfect shots to boot.
All right, well, big win there for Rob the Turtle, and also for years I thought, why was the floor so sticky? Why does it smell like really bad popcorn? Today I've learned. But hey, Complexity, even though the score is looking a little dire, you don't want to count them out quite yet. Anything is possible in Halo. Is the comeback possible? That is going to be a little difficult, but they're going to have to do the same thing that Optic did to them, right? They're going to have to swarm them off spawn, recognize where they are, give them no room to breathe, take those one-shots, shoot together. And it's kind of what we're getting a little bit right now, but is it too little too late, especially when there are only 12 kills left for Optic to get?
Yeah, it feels too little too late. I mean, they've gone a little ahead in slays here for the second half. We talked before how it's 27-11. So Optic have gotten 11 kills to Complexity's 13, which isn't that substantial when you think about it. They're basically trading kills this moment, and Optic is welcome to do that the rest of this game to close it out if they want.
Yeah, there's like really no sense of urgency for Optic at this point. Oh, Vetra, a fortunate series of events there, and APG, a big win for him. He's going to get that heat wave. You got only a few kills before a steak dinner. I don't quite know if that's going to happen yet, but hey, all right, with the way that Optic is playing here, they're flying at their opponents, giving them no room to breathe. 44-28 now. And with some top mid control, maybe Complexity can get possession of a power item at the tail end of this game, which they do. It's going to be the camo that they secure. And this is the Complexity that I wanted to see at the start of the game, but it's so hard against Optic when, Lucid just starts off, he gets 2 kills like it's nothing, and then there's just really, like, you're staggered off of your spawn endlessly.
Yeah, I truly do wonder when it comes to this Optic roster how much they've practiced their starts. Like, yes, teams practice their starts without a doubt, but I wonder how much they've practiced and perfected that, because it just feels like these last 2 games they've gotten off to such strong starts that's like, all right, is this just a small sample size of games, or do they really have it down to a science to know how to get like that first kill or 2, which just snowballs into more and more?
Well, no steak dinner here. Not quite yet. Okay, not today, they say. Instead, it would be more like a chicken parm. 40.
Pretty good.
I think that'll be another medal, right? Chicken parm, right?
Guys, let him get a couple kills. I want parm.
Actually, no, I want chicken parm. But Optic want this win here. Only 3 kills remaining. APG's in a bit of a pickle, but he's got some teammates to back him up. Ola's putting shots toward the player in the corner, and with that, APG's going to get the Q, right? Time to move. Time to get these last few kills lined up. Triton's going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that's a double kill. 1 more remaining. Lucid's got the mark. Rob the Turtle, melee, goodbye. And Optic Gaming go up 2-0, and they started that Aquarius Slayer cleanly.
Yeah, they looked real strong there, and that is, like you said, going to be a strong 2-0 statement from Optic thus far. And based on how it's going, it just feels like Optic are kind of picking up speed. I feel like they're just going to close this series out 3-0, which was the original prediction we had, but that first game kind of threw us for a curveball.
Yeah, you know, and that just goes to show you that even though something, especially in Halo Infinite, like, yeah, there are players that are establishing themselves quite quickly and really being the focal points of a lot of these events. It's still early days for this game, right? People oftentimes forget this. Like, the game just came out.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's Halo, so everyone's been playing this for such a long time. The games may change, but you see a lot of these faces, and they're very, very familiar. So, you know, I feel like Complexity, they knew that they came out of the gate in that Strongholds game aggressively. If they came out strong, maybe they have that opportunity to win. I always felt like, though, that this Aquarius Slayer game, it was just going to be really hard for them to just get a groove going. And, well, I mean, it kind of shows in the stats here, right? Just straight domination and control. Lucid, 4,200 damage. I mean, the man just doesn't miss shots.
Yeah, I mean, when we were getting our stats earlier, it showed that Lucid had the most damage of anyone on average per game.
First place.
Which isn't surprising watching his gameplay. I mean, he's just so active. He's moving around so much, laying down so many shots. But yeah, I mean, just out of every other pro player, also taking into consideration teams that maybe have more or less difficult matches, whatever it happens to be, or longer matches, like, doesn't matter. Lucid is #1 right now across that, and I feel like you don't even have to throw any caveats in. I'm like, all right, that one does seem accurate. Yeah, there could be a couple changes to that stat, but that one seems about right.
You know, because Lucid's been at this for, what, like, I would say 2 seasons, MCC Pro Series, H5 Pro Series, as well as H5, right? He was formerly known as Saiyan beforehand. You know what he reminds me of a lot of? When I was watching Scump early on when I was casting COD back in the day. It's like a player that could just be put into any situation and would somehow just find a way to succeed. That is what Lucid reminds me of. So if you are a fan of Optic Gaming, and we know that there are a lot of you out there, we get it, you have to be rallying behind this young man, because the talent is absurd, and he's I'll tell you, he's repping the green wall very well here. But now we're going to CTF Bazaar. And for this one, Dave, this is a map all about control, and Optic Gaming have very much controlled this series and Complexity. They're picking up the pieces.
Yeah, I was going to say, these last couple games felt like Optic were increasing the pace of the game in many ways. You know, there was a flip of control here or there.
Yeah, like a slow ramp up.
But Bazaar is going to be one of those that you cannot just go nonstop the entire time. Like, you have to take some breaths. You have to slow it down. It's going to be like very segmented battles. Like, all right, when you're on the defensive end, you got to fight and get out of your base by getting control of your tree or your BR. And then you go have the battle in the center of the map. And then you go have the battle on their side of the map. So this is going to be one that they, you know, even if they get on a hot streak, they might be able to get a cap or two out of it. But they're not going to be able to rally that the entire game like they could in a Strongholds or in like an Aquarius Slayer.
Yeah, Bazaar CTF, has been a point of conversation in the community over the last few weeks. I'm beginning to see some animosity for the map in game mode, because it is one of those regimented, segmented games, you know, where you kind of got to go through the paces before you can get what you want done. And Optic,
Olo was just shown right there too. He's like, there's an alley over here, there's an alley over here, and these two you can't fight together.
And trust me, listen to me, I've been in the lab. Complexity, though, you know, what are they, like, how do you kind of dig yourself out of this situation, Dave, right? Like, you're 2-0. That game 2 was a rough one. Game 1, you saw signs of life. If you're Hysteria, you're the veteran here, what are you telling the squad?
I mean, you have to be confident in your gameplay. You can't just get onto the main stage and be like, we have to change everything up. And lucky for them, this Bazaar map is going to help curate that. There's going to be so many situations before where, like, all right, they were all stuck on their base in Aquarius. I mean, if you're stuck on your base in Bazaar, it's not ideal, but you still have, like we said, different small fights you can do. It's not like you're getting shot from top center of the map from Aquarius and all these other angles. Instead, you have a bit more breathing room. You can be like, all right, well, we can go double team and fight somebody over towards the alley side, or you can just run into Palm and fight a 2-on-2 or something like that. So you really do get to have some more separate battles without the team that has, you know, a numbers advantage be able to press that as much as they would on many other maps.
Well, let's see what this start is going to be for Optic Gaming. And emphasis is actually going to be placed on the grapple hook, as it should be, because the grapple shot is one of the most vital weapons here. But they managed to get rockets as well. It seemed like they were putting more effort on the grapple shot than they were the rockets in that exchange.
I was just going to say, I was like, I think Optic has like their starts figured out, like as he was shooting that player, that grapple. But like that start of that map started way different than I ever expected. I just see someone Spider-Manning all the way up towards the BR, and Lucid has the, you know, Mangler shooting from bottom rockets, and he gets rocketed. Like, it just felt like focus was so disoriented in so many different ways that I just did not expect.
Well, now you got a few players that are going to be hovering about inside of the Optic base. Let's see how APG and the crew can fight out of this one as we jump into an Astro listening.
Killed the guy.
Two bottom middle, two bottom middle.
Yeah,
Our cubby and bottom middle.
Our
jump up, or jump up.
I heard that. I'm looking for
One shot. I got him.
Our cubby, guys, our cubby.
One last guy, but they're
cubby, 3 shots. One shot our cubby.
Nice job, nice job.
They're gonna be
Yo,
pushed
I
up.
have
They
a
could be
grapple.
OEing. They could be OEing.
Hey, there's a thrust
2
down.
dead still. There's 2
I'm
dead.
coming to you, Tommy. Wait.
2
One shot
dead.
to BR.
They alive.
There's a grapple down there.
They're big door shooting you.
Trying
I'm
to
seeing
come
our
out.
cubby for now. I'm
Pushing
pushing
out
the
fast.
tree. The tree weak, Rob.
Their tree is weak. I shot him again. I'm pushing out bottom.
Alright.
I'm
Trying
bottom
to get
middle.
some cubby.
I don't know. I'm trying to
They
mill.
didn't have much eyes on rocket side. They could be OEing.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch.
I got one, guys.
Any shot from their tree. Their tree.
I'm at rocket.
Their flag
side.
is Hysteria, kind of weak.
Watching you, Brad. I'm watching
I
you.
don't
I'm
see
getting
anything
pushed,
rocket
guys.
side.
He
I'm
backed
going
up. He
their-
backed up. He's their
I'm
balcony.
getting killed by top rockets. Or
Yo, they're
something.
big door. They're big door.
Pushing these guys.
Their
Big
flag
door's
weak.
one.
Where?
Half shields. They're big
Yeah,
doors.
they're-
Thrust on me.
The West is in
Big doors.
I'm trying to run away.
I'm playing for overshield. Bottom.
Alley on me?
See, I can help you. Alley behind you, Rob.
Oh, one dead.
They're up again.
A few little small details in that listening that I really love, because, you know, when you think of coaching in Halo, right, everyone always has this, like, skewed perspective on it where they're like, oh, it's just a person who just keeps track of time and stuff. Not when Lunchbox is behind you. And you can hear that he was actively contributing in the conversation and the call-outs, just like the other players were. And that is the reason why they've been able to apply so much pressure to complexity, because Lunchbox is also, like, just keeping track in the back of his head, like, where these players are, and let me go ahead and make the call-out. And they're hearing the responses from the players because they know if Box is making a call, you pay attention.
Yep, that's so strong to have a coach that you trust as far as like when it comes to like flag routes or when you should be pushing or doing something. And so that's yeah, it's really special having someone like Lunchbox there. The other thing I just noticed is how they're just talking and saying like, you know, I'm backing this person down or someone shoot me from here, but it's not super panicked. It's not like someone shoot me from rockets, this caught me off guard. It's almost like they have almost all the information out there and just kind of like reiterating. It's like, all right, someone's over on this side, someone's back down. But yeah, high level Halo, the way it's played here with these top teams and something like Bazaar is the team that has control, the team that has, you know, center control, they're kind of dictating the pace, so they shouldn't be putting themselves in positions that they could just die randomly at any time. Some maps, that's unavoidable. Some maps, you're just going to get shot in the side at streets and you can't be protected from everywhere, but somewhere in Bazaar, you can be in much safer positions and you should be able to hide away from somebody shooting you, pushing out of their base.
Well, with those round of slays that just came through from APG, the spawns are going to be happening on the right side, right in the front of the base and also inside of the palm tree. APG needed his teammates to start to collapse inside of palm so that this way they could force spawns over toward alley. Does not happen, though, and a great response from Cole to force Optic Gaming back. And now we can start to see Optic go on some kind of offense here, but it's about taking out some of these targets. They're going to be located on the lower end. An unfortunate grapple shot there for Ola. Could not get away, and that is going to leave, I think, the power item is going to be up here in a moment. So they can't
I like
go
this play, though, from Rob, though. What I would do, and I agree with this play, is if you're the one that's furthest pushed up, keep that distance, keep that buffer room. I guess he has grapple so he can bring it up to himself, but I was going to say keep that buffer room, push over on the Optic side of the map, and that way when someone from Optic is going to try to contest at OS, they're going to get flanked from 2 different sides. They're going to get shot from the side. They have to deal with Rob before they have any sort of chance of grabbing that overshield. You basically want to divide the opposing team's attention when going for those power-ups.
So Rob has gotten the call. Go inside of the enemy base, cause a distraction, cause some problems. He is going to get burned out of that overshield, but he does have assistance here. Waiting for those shields to come back up is going to be crucial. Unfortunately, that nade is going to make that a little bit more challenging for him to do, as both players inside of Palm are going to be weak right now, and Optic can profit off of this, but not going to be the case. Actually, swing around from behind, though. The timing on that one, just as they thought that they could start to put their focus and attention on flag, they got someone coming up from BR right behind them, and now here comes another Optic push and complexity playing from the back foot again.
Yeah, it felt like Complexity had control for, what, about 10 seconds where they got like control of the palm and stuff and had a chance to maybe push in for a flag, and that just got deleted. And in fact, think about how quick we see someone like Lucid and this Optic squad pushing on over towards the Complexity base. They wasted no time. They sprinted on over. We had Lucid in a position where he probably could have pulled the flag if he wanted to.
Oh,
Wouldn't have
wow.
been a good move because he would have just got killed right away. But whole point being is they're right there immediately.
Okay, I thought that the spikes were going to kill him. This is ridiculous. He still stays alive. He might be able to get this double. No, he does. Lucid is absurd. What a player. Just the fact that he stayed alive, the fact that he delayed as long, and he pulled so much attention over there is so impressive. Let's see how Optic are going to play around that huge play.
Yeah, stats check out. He does a lot of damage. The numbers are in. The dude does a lot of damage.
Excuse me, sir. The numbers are in. He's kind of cracked. Thank you. Man, what a play from Lucid. But still, this goes to show you Bazaar, how bizarre Bazaar is. Because even with all of that, it was still not enough for Optic to get a flag outside of the enemy base. But maybe these Rockets could be the difference maker here if they could take advantage of it.
Yeah, Rockets OS both going in the hands of Optic. This is going to be the best chance that they've had thus far throughout this entire game to try to turn this into a capture.
Oh, no.
I like this play.
Oh,
that's a 2
bad.
for 1.
That's a pull. That's a
and
pull.
that's a pull. That is 3 down. I don't know where Vetra is at the moment,
they're
but
taking it alley.
he was spotted. So we're going to see Vetra being called out over on the locker side of the map.
Oh, I really like this pull here. But I think Trippy has another rocket. No,
think
no,
so.
he doesn't.
That
He
dude
dropped
would've
it.
had it
Sorry.
out.
Yeah. He would have already blown him up there. But that, oh my goodness, Trippy. A double kill for him. He's going to get shut down, but the flag's on the other side of the map, and Optic Gaming puts it in 1-0 for the green wall. But that was a beautiful series of events from Optic that led to that capture.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how much you have to coordinate here on Bazaar to have those flags go in. That's why it's so difficult, you know, for those at home playing this like in ranked or matchmaking. It is a really tough map to coordinate with your teams unless you're fully outslaying the other squad. So you notice there from Optic, like you said, opting for that alley run. I'm interested to see if that's going to be something that more top teams do throughout this weekend, because that was less common, I would say, over at Raleigh.
And also another thing you should note, we should really make note of here, Dave, Optic always has someone in their enemy BR. Every single time. And it is a constant pain in the back of Complexity to just clear that player out. In fact, there was even one play earlier where I think they staggered the OS, it saved it, and then they forced 2 players, and even then had to just dump every single piece of utility. They had to get rid of that player. They're playing so well to force Complexity in bad situations.
That's great insight, Golden Boy. The reason that the BR area is so strong is because you're realistically only going to get attacked from one angle from the other team, which is from their flag side. The reason that you're not going to get attacked as much over from the front entrance or the bridge side is your team has control of the center. If you're over the other team's BR, you have control of the center of the map most likely. And so you don't have to worry from that angle. In fact, you're almost welcoming somebody to attack you from that side because your teammate's going to put a couple shots in their back and you get to clean up that kill.
So now you're going to get this flag pull from Complexity, but the problem is not a lot of map control. APG is going to be sitting in their corner. You got 3 players located by rocks. Vetra's going to need to make a heroic play here to allow that flag to continue to progress. Hysteria goes down. 2 players are actually out, and you make a flag pull with no control, you're going to pay the price for it, and you're seeing it happen in front of your eyes, folks.
I mean, we're in a kind of a counter pull situation. Both these teams were at each other's bases and said, you know what, let's play a game of chicken. We'll both pull each other's flags. I like this play from Ola, where he's not just going to sit and go for that recov. He's just going to bring this back, and there it is. Trippy up there for the catch. Trippy's going to put that one in, and that's a 2-0 lead here for Optic Gaming.
Yeah, I want to give a lot of credit to Complexity, though, because their power item control has been very, very good. And it's been mostly grapple shot to obtain the overshield, and they've done it a few times here. And heck, they've even been able to get power weapon control, too. But Bazaar is the type of map where, like, you can... Oh, Trippy.
Didn't see him.
Ooh,
Did not see him
Trippy.
there.
He must be having some conversations with
What
Ola.
a wild challenge there from Trippy, just deciding to thrust back and realizing that this player with the rockets might get a little greedy or bring out the rockets, and did not get finished off from it. So that's such a huge win from Trippy's side because he was able to make Vetra waste a rocket.
Overshield's going to be up in a few moments. The Complexity's trying to do the same thing again, and I think Optic is wise to it now, which is why they sent APG right to it. Got a little bit of a mangy as well. No confirm on the kill, but here we go. So there goes the grapple shot play again. Pops it, gets the help as well. And Ola actually ends up getting the melee, a double kill to boot there for the veteran. 2 players are going to be located on the left side of the map. 1 player inside of their flag. They're going to have to deal with this next push here, and Ola knows that there's someone low. He has to handle business, but the overshield goes away. Rob the Turtle is going to make sure of that. But he should have been cleaned up here in a moment, which it ends up happening. The help comes through, but they did invest a lot to remove him. But both teams kind of had to do that there as they both are down 2-0. And
yeah, you don't really have much choice there. I would expect Optic to play this one smart, though. At this point, they're not going to force any flag pulls. They're just going to go for some slays. Maybe if they get like all 4 down, they'll try to run the flag across the map. But at this point, any member of Optic running a flag is 1 less member slain. The really only way that we're going to see Complexity get back in this is some sort of semblance of a large amount of control, getting all 4 down, and running some cap and keeping control.
yeah, and you only have 55 seconds to do it here. So at this point, the onus is going to be on Complexity to have to force the issue. And Optic's not going to give him the comfort to do so here. A big fight, bigger fight for Hysteria, but the cleanup comes in immediately. Lucid is there, ever present on the map. He's like the watcher. He's everywhere he needs to be, watching, waiting, and giving us episodes of What If. But yeah, this has just been a great display from Optic Gaming, and it could very well lead, with the time dwindling down, a clean 3-0 for the green wall.
And look at this defense. They're just catching all these stragglers, someone trying to slip by, flank out, get a flag grab. They just realize this is the only way that they can really lose this game, and they're just,
Yeah, it's their game to lose.
patting those little stats with it.
And there you have it, folks. I mean, as the time dwindles down, 10 seconds remaining, 2-0 for Optic. It would have to take a miracle, just everything going wrong. But hey, we know that ain't happening. So, folks, Optic walk away 3-0. I would say in that map in particular, I give a lot of credit to Complexity, but the problem comes into, you get the positioning, you get the control. What do you do next? Optic have answered. They've solved that puzzle. Complexity still have yet to figure it out.
Yeah. I think when I try to break that down there, it felt like many times where Optic would get over the Complexity base, they would be a bit more comfortable spending time over at their Palm or over at their BR and getting a few slays. Whereas once Complexity got over towards the opposing BR or Palm, they made a do-or-die push right then and there and kind of decided the fate of that next potential flag pull or control.
Yeah, that flag pull that they ended up doing, as you mentioned, the do-or-die one, that was the game.
Yep.
That flag pull works out. That was the furthest they were able to get out the Optic flag to the middle of the map. If they managed to bring that flag further, if they managed to make that cap happen, oh yeah, we were looking at a game here. But Optic were very prepared for that. In fact, they were able to counter cap while that whole thing was going on, which again just speaks to how put together this Optic team is, and this was the result that they were expecting when they saw the schedule, and I don't think anyone is shocked that Optic won 3-0, but now this is where the real work begins for Optic, because they know that this is a big event for them.
Yeah, such a tough road ahead. I mean, they have to play G2, and then they start to go into the actual bracket play. That's where the tournament really heats up, but they're off to a strong start thus far.
Yeah, courtesy of Lucid going 23-13 with 12 assists. Oh, Pistola, don't forget about him. He's got himself a solid few kills as well, and APG really lighting up in that game too.